Okay, so welcome to the Miracle Mind. Today, on this 24th day, I think it is, of this year, lesson 24. Great. Um, so basically, we don't know anything. That's great. We don't know anything. Yeah, no idea what's the best for me. No idea what would bring peace to everyone. No idea about anything, really. So now I'm actually open to learn something. Well, let's start with that then, to not know and let whatever is come to us. And that is wonderful. And here's an opportunity, a really great, beautiful opportunity. Today in the Miracle Mind, we look at the Manual for Teachers, section 4. Section 4 is the levels of teaching, as far as there are. Levels of teaching, that's one thing. We use 2 paragraphs of that. So another thing is that we listen to Master Teacher in the 5th part of the first episode. And it's another 15 minutes of, of teaching of Master Teacher, in which he actually tells, shares what is A Course in Miracles really. And it's really great to hear it from him, just because he doesn't have any kind of temptation to humanize it or to make any kind of compromise to what is actually given in A Course in Miracles. So you could say like it's the pure teaching in that sense, directly as it is being shared first by Jesus in A Course in Miracles, in the first person scripture as he calls it. And then, this is another great part, Master Teacher actually uses A Course in Miracles, but also sees what happens here, say on Earth, on planet Earth, with it in the course groups, in how even the ones who received it, like Helen Schuckman, Bill Tadford, and Ken Wapnick, how they dealt with A Course in Miracles in the first 7 years. One of the things he says, for instance, is that the script was put in, a cupboard for a year. Nobody didn't do anything with it. They left it. There's like, well, this is too much for a human being to read this. As if they could determine what anything is for, and they can't. But see, here's the great thing. I think this is really wonderful about listening to Master Teacher. He actually has no other goal with teaching A Course in Miracles than teaching what it really says. Instead of losing oneself in all the patterns and habits of human thinking, to cover up, in fact, to lose yourself in the form, for instance, of practicing A Course in Miracles, practicing the exercises, talking about how difficult it is, talking about all kinds of side things that have nothing to do with the actual content of the lesson. So this is where it becomes really interesting. And Master Teacher only teaches that, you could say, only teaches what is in the text, what the content is, and what the natural human response to it is, which is, in fact, denial. It seems like, I'm doing the Course in Miracles already for 10 years. Okay, so that's great. Now, what is your experience? That's what matters. What is your experience? Are you experiencing the peace of God? Are you are you recognizing that every relationship is an, opportunity to remember who you truly are? Or are you still attacking your brother with what you know about A Course in Miracles? It's like this. So this phenomena you will see passing through today too, in what we share, in what we hear. And so I know, I think from the 3rd part of the first episode of the talk of Master Teacher about what actually is A Course in Miracles, or introducing A Course in Miracles, I'm using the literal script of him just to stand still and look at it. So that's the program today, and I think it's wonderful, it's great. So starting with the manual for teachers, section 4, I'll pull that up. What are the levels of teaching? The teachers of God have no set teaching level. They have no set teaching level. Each teaching learning situation involves a different relationship at the beginning, although the ultimate goal is always the same: to make of the relationship a holy relationship, in which both can look upon the Son of God as sinless. There is no one from whom a teacher of God cannot learn, so there is no one whom he cannot teach. See, that's an interesting, you could say like, what do you mean by that? There's no one from whom a teacher of God cannot learn, so there is no one whom he cannot teach. Well, this becomes increasingly fun by actually doing it. You'll see how that works. So there's no one from whom you cannot learn, so there's no one whom you cannot teach. However, from a practical point of view, he cannot meet everyone, nor can everyone find him. Therefore, the plan includes very specific contacts to be made for each teacher of God. There are no accidents in salvation. Those who are to meet will meet, because together they have the potential for a holy relationship. They are ready for each other. Are we ready for each other today? Yes. Are we recognizing our holy relationship? Oh my God, yes, absolutely. So are we fulfilling our purpose doing so? Yes, indeed. So that's so great. So that's the practicality. So you see, there's the, and we looked at that yesterday too, so I'll stop here for just a second. There are two things being shared. So one of them is that there's no accident in that we meet. Whether you see this on YouTube, whether you're here live in class, like there's no accident at all in meeting us. There's an opportunity to recognize the relationship that we have is a holy relationship in the recognition of who we truly are, and say what it is that actually is communicating between us. You know, that's one recognition. So the other one is, I, as teacher, can learn from you, like continuously. I do. So there's no one from whom I cannot learn, because there is no one to whom I cannot teach. So and that is like an exchange, you could say, on in the recognition of that there's only one of us. It has to do with that. It's like, that is, if I'm not open to learn, how would I be able to teach? Now I turn it around like 180 degrees. How would I know how to teach if I wasn't able to learn? Like the lesson of today, I don't know what anything is for, is really a part of that too. It's like you don't know what's the best for anyone involved. So in allowing myself to learn, to share, to teach, I actually discover what it means and what that is. But I can only do that if I'm open and receptive. Then I'm able to actually learn something. And how do I learn? By teaching. It's the same thing. It's the same idea. You teach literally what you want to learn. And it happens at the same time. So if I'm lucky, I actually hear what I'm saying. So that's the same for you. So in whatever language, we saw this in, it's like, how does this work? Are words necessary? How do you teach? How do you demonstrate? How do you learn? You could also say. Like, how do you do that? Well, in your very individual, exact way. Whether that's being present in light, whether that's everything, every aspect of yourself as you know yourself is going to be used for the discovery of what that actually means and what's being used in order for that to occur. So you can say, like, that is so perfectly orchestrated that you don't, it is not even your concern. So then it says here too, it's like, you cannot teach everyone. You cannot come in contact with everyone to make all relationships holy. So there's something like, you can't miss who will come to you. You can't miss who you will come in contact with. There's no accident in that whatsoever. And that changes, that's fine too. That's perfectly all right. It's like, yeah, you don't determine what is going on with that at all. So this is good to remember in how we meet, how you meet the ones that you meet, how we come together. What is the purpose of the relationship? Recognizing the holiness of the relationship, recognizing that the ground whereon you stand is holy ground, recognizing that your brother is your savior, that what you think you have to teach others is a lesson for you and not for anyone else. So, but if you allow that, in fact, say, to cave in on you, if you allow yourself to receive that, then you're able to give it away. And this becomes obvious when you start to have your experiences. If I read something and it brings me into a recognition, into a light experience, then I actually heard what it said. And it brings me into an immediate, say, sense of connection, of communication. It's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. I actually feel the grace coming to me. Like, it is given me to hear what is being shared. Now, in that receiving, I'm giving it away. So this is what healing is. This is what spiritual healing is. Or this is what teaching is, demonstrating is. This is what recognizing your holiness is. But see, it is an experience, so it has nothing to do with what I'm voicing. No, in your recognition of what I'm sharing, and you might feel that right now, it's like, that's exactly where it happens. We don't have to talk about that or thinking like, how can you do it quicker, better? Who knows what? It's like, that would be ridiculous, right? So that is what is occurring. Now, how great is that? So it is as free as can be, because you don't determine who will stay with you, who you will meet, who this or how that. No, that is all given to you. Another thing not to be concerned about. The simplest teaching appears to be superficial. The simplest level of teaching appears to be quite superficial. It consists of what seem to be very casual encounters. I look at these examples, I love it. Like, it seems to be quite superficial. It consists of what seems to be very casual encounters. A chance meeting of two apparent strangers in an elevator. A child who is not looking where he's going, running into an adult by accident, so to speak. Two students who happen to walk home together. These are not chance encounters. Each of them has the potential for becoming a teaching-learning situation. Perhaps the seeming strangers in the elevator will smile to one another. Perhaps the man will not scold the child for bumping into him. Perhaps the students will become friends. Even at the level of the most casual encounter, it is possible for two people it is possible for two people to lose sight of the separate, interests, if only for a moment. That moment will be enough. Salvation has come. You didn't know that about bumping into someone, thinking that, oh, I'm sorry, that so-called accident was actually your salvation. So this is what I mentioned many times, that I said, like, you have no idea. So your expression, the words that, say, escape your mind, so to speak, as an so-called accident, an inappropriate saying or whatever, can really be the salvation. So you don't know what anything is for. Okay, I feel like continuing. It is difficult to understand that levels of teaching the universal course is a concept as meaningless in reality as is in time. It is difficult to understand that levels of teaching the universal course is a concept as meaningless in reality as in time. The illusion of one permits the illusion of the other. In time, the teacher of God seems to begin to change his mind about the world with a single decision, and then learns more and more about a new direction as he teaches it. We have covered the illusion of time already, but the illusion of levels of teaching seemed to be something different. Perhaps the best way to demonstrate that these levels cannot exist is simply to say that any level of the teaching-learning situation is part of God's plan for atonement, and His plan can have no levels, being a reflection of His will. Salvation is always ready and always there. God's teachers work at different levels, but result is always the same. I love this. I love it because it is like you recognize it. See, it wouldn't matter, in a sense, it wouldn't matter if you use creative mind training to come to an experience of what am I expressing, or what is going on, or whether you use the Gospel of Thomas to come to a deep understanding or a deep experience of what is actually being said. See, all the forms don't matter. It is not that one is better than the other, or a higher level, or no, it's like, no, it's all parts of the whole. And it's the same as reading one word in A Course in Miracles, or reading a whole sentence or a whole chapter, is in fact the same idea. It's like you get in touch with an aspect of your whole-mindedness. In that recognition, say, if you recognize that for yourself, you see the wholeness of it. You come into the experience of your true whole self. So that is one thing. Yeah, I love the examples that are given here, because it takes away your necessity to bring this into a certain form, that it has to be spiritual, that it has to be this form, that form. And this is exactly where we also are looking at with what Master Teacher is sharing. Like it is immediately that when you hear something so-called spiritual from a spiritual book, that you are implementing it in your frame of reference as a human being. So you're actually going to use it to attack your brother, you could say. It's like that is the normal response of a human being. If I know more than you, I'm going to let you feel that. I'm telling you what should happen, or what is necessary to happen in this situation. I'm telling you what I know. You better listen to me, because you don't know that yet. You know, like this, like you you do the same thing in even with spiritual scripture, or with the Bible. It has been done for ages. Like the human, say, temptation, the human habit is to use what it knows against someone else. Say, knowledge is power. All these kind of expressions are being used. So here, in the purpose of the Course in Miracles, you see that it actually completely falls apart. In the recognition of that what you know as well as I know to be true, we start communicating. That's the only thing we want to discover. Say, if I am holy, you must be holy also. So I would never attack you. If I recognize my holiness as well as yours, why would I attack you if I say, come to know that there's only one of us? In my experience, there's only one of us. When I'm with you, when I fall in love with you, I recognize there's only one of us. Like, that's not so difficult. We all have experiences like that. Now, it's not that you have to fall in love with everyone in the whole world, but there are specific ones given you in which you can let that occur. Let your heart be open, recognizing your oneness with your brother. You know, it's like very specific ones are given you that will keep you busy for a moment and seem to be like the exceptions on this recognition of oneness. Well, that's great for you. It's like that's God's perfect plan for salvation. It's not by your choice. It is not by your definition. It's not on your terms that you're going to wake up. No, absolutely not. That's the only thing that hinders your awakening. So, okay, there was the this was the warming up. I love it. So this is the warming up for listening to Master Teacher. After that, we come back and we're going to take a deep, detailed look into his expressions regarding what is A Course in Miracles really.
Now we've got the book in front of us, all right? Now we're going to just basically, before we get into the meat of this, give you the principles of what a miracle is, all right? And as I said earlier to you, it seems very simple, but it's really not. Why? A miracle finally is only the admission of God, which was inevitable in time and true in eternity, okay? Finally, it's the revelation of whole mind, but it can be experienced in the holy instant or the momentary vision of a reassociation of your mind to what? The ultimate revelation of yourself. You might want to look at this very simply. I'm teaching you from revelation. So is A Course in Miracles. That's not really hard if you look at it that way. That will cause holy instances in your own mental associations. And they will cause you to be what? Enlightened. That's the basis of this teaching. The principles of miracles. Notice that it's plural. Notice that miracles is plural. Okay. Notice that it says that you must identify the power of your own mind with the capacity, as I just read you here, that everything is contained within your own mind and you have all power. We cannot teach you this by degrading your mind processes. You will not accept it. You cannot accept it because you are you. The principles of miracles will even contain the allowance for your working magic, won't it? It's going to say that you can take the power of your mind and direct it to momentary or temporal reassociations of your definitions of your own associate visions, okay? That you can cause the elimination of a tumor in a consciousness, that you can teach the lame to walk. Of course, you can do that. But if you do that within a limited temporal association of your own mind, the miracle cannot exceed the direction of your direction of it, of the purpose of it. Do you see that? Yes. Okay. Now we're going to teach you to whole-mindedness so that you see the miracle is only your whole mind coming to the truth by the denial of your perceptions. Or the use of magic in your own mind, isn't it? Which is what you do. All right, biggie. There is no order of difficulties to miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. Why? They are all the same. They are all expressions of love are maximal. And a miracle is what? An expression of love. Okay. A miracle is looking at your brother for just a moment and saying, I love you totally. Well, what happened when I said I loved you totally? I forgot to judge you. I didn't add something on because of this, all right? I released my mind for what? In an unconditional association with you to allow the miracle to occur. This is a Course in Miracles, for goodness sake. What happens? All expressions of love must be maximal. Why? God creating is what love is. You are a creator, aren't you? Now, if you're going to create in perceptions, how will you do it? By seeing yourself wholly perceptual. By not denying your own creations, by not projecting from your mind and disassociating yourself from yourself, isn't it? They're always maximal. Okay. That is to say, if anybody is sick, one sickness wouldn't be any different than another, would it? He is only sick by your judgment. Any judgment of him is false. A bad cold is the same as death. It's not different. Do you see? There aren't degrees to separation and sin. That's what this says. It's all maximal. Okay. Now, miracles as such don't make any difference. Why would they? Why? They're just definitions of the truth that must be inherent in you. The manner in which you work the miracle doesn't matter. The miracle that actually occurs makes absolutely no difference, does it? Okay? The only thing that matters is their source, which is far behind your evaluation anyway. Why? It's God. And your attempts to evaluate it are your attempts to give explicit causes to your own mind and deny the final wholeness of you. Okay? You're trying to work the miracle denies the miracle. Jesus talks about this in the Course. It says now it's going to take a miracle to get you to be a miracle worker. You got so used to using the power of your own mind that you need that's the devil, incidentally. Yeah, you're determined to do that. Here we go. Now, miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. They have to be, all right? The real miracle is the love that inspires them. That's God. That's the truth. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. Why? It's a statement of the whole truth of you in your own mind, isn't it? That's a miracle. You guys are working miracle by relinquishing your own thoughts about the consciousness around you. That's how the miracle works. Obviously, the miracle's not going to work by your definition, isn't it? The miracle works by your non-definition. Wow, isn't that amazing? Let go and let God, huh? Okay, ready? All miracles mean life, literally. You see life in the miracle. And God is the giver of life. His voice will direct you very specifically. You will be told all you need to know. Why? Listen, contained in every conceptual thought that you have is a whole reality. That's what that says. It's impossible that that not be so, because you are the power of God. It's you who organize the perceptual thoughts and associations. Okay? As you advance in this, when you have a thought that's of no value to you, it'll just be thrown out of your equation. Some of you are experiencing that. You'll lose your necessity to hold on to that perceptual evaluation. Okay? You'll know exactly what to do. Okay? Now, miracles are habits and should be involuntary. Ready? They should not be under conscious control. Okay? Consciously selected miracles can be misguided. Why? You want a result within the own power of your own mind. Can you do it? Yeah. It doesn't say here you can't do it, does it? It doesn't take away from you the power to say, oh no, I'm going to bring about a healing of that cancer so you can die of old age, or you can die of something else. Or I'm going to use the power of my own mind to do it. No, no. It just asks you to look at yourself and how you're using that power. By saying miracles are habits, the workbook teaches you to look again all the time. Okay. As your mind progresses in that, you become non-judgmental, so that when you enter into a situation on earth, you enter into it and keep your mouth shut. You enter onto the stage and immediately don't present the results of your own mind to the situation. What happens? The situation changes. Right? Because what you brought to the situation is all it can be. Yeah, you're hearing me. That's what this. That's the habit you should evolve. Why? Miracles are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong, and that something is your determination to establish your own reality, isn't it? The miracle works fully all the time. Why? You're the obstacle to that in your perceptual mind, aren't you? Isn't that something? Now, miracles are everyone's right because they're the right of a whole mind. But purification is necessary first. Okay. You have to do what? In your own body associations, examine the defense mechanisms, okay, that you have used to establish your limited reality. Miracles will not work unless you forgive. They can't. Because if there's a sin or sickness outside of you, okay, that you are not the cause of, all right, the miracle obviously won't work because it's not under the control of your own mind. That's a fact. Miracles are healing because they supply a lack, and you are lacking here. They are performed by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily have less. That's a fact. This coming to peace and serenity that you're undergoing in your mind will be a great assistance to the thought forms that are in your chaotic association. Okay? The peace that you are feeling in the miracle of your mind is literally communicative. All right? The consciousnesses that will come around you will suddenly begin to feel real good because you have brought about in their mind a change in who they are through your non-resistance of your association with them in the falsity. Okay? You are establishing godly or holy relationships with each other. Isn't that lovely? In that sense, miracles are a kind of exchange. Why? They need to be acknowledged. Okay? The moment that you would acknowledge your brother as a whole living Son of God, you will become that because he is a reflection of your mind. Okay? Yes, that is so. I will have that wholly. Like all expressions of love, which are always miraculous in the true sense, okay, the exchange reverses the physical laws. They bring more love both to the giver and to the receiver. Physical laws demand that you keep separate from each other and identify yourself through the separation of each other. Okay? A miracle says, no, we are only as God created us holy. I will not judge you in my own mind, and you must change because I have changed my mind about myself and subsequently about you. Now, it's impossible that that not be so. Later on, it's going to say, well, is it necessary that consciousness acknowledge it? No. See, that's why we need so many of these concepts, so that you can see that. Okay, what do? They bring more love both to the giver and the receiver. Actually, they bring the acknowledgement that you can only give to yourself. The miracle then becomes nothing more than your total giving, which is your determination not to hold on to your own perceptual associations in defense of the things that are outside of you. That's the perfect miracle. God only gives. God only creates. Ready. The use of miracles as spectacles to induce belief is a misunderstanding of their purpose. Obviously, that's the magic of it, isn't it? Okay. Can you do that? Sure. Can you authenticate the power of your mind? Yes, but not to the full power of it. That can't be authenticated. Okay. You can do much more than you pretend to. You can do everything. Moving mountains is the least you can do. You're always being tempted by the devil, aren't you? You undergo this enlightenment occasion. You're baptized by John. You have a little enlightenment and you're immediately tempted by the devil to use that power in the limitation. This is Jesus in the 40 days, isn't it? Save yourself. Throw yourself off. Let God save you. All the things that you're tempted to use this power of your mind for, and always have been. Okay? You are constantly succumbing to the temptation of your own attraction for death. Your own need to remain temporal in the association with reality. That's all the devil is. Okay. Now, ready? Prayer is the medium of miracles. Isn't that something? The medium. Okay. Would have to be if God's apparently outside of you. You ask for help. I can't deal with this situation, help me. Do you get the help? Yes. To the direct extent you do not need the situation to verify your own sickness and death, you'll get it. Most of you have been very fearful of the healing. You do not want the healing to occur, and had the healing occurred, you would have been more fearful in your reassociations. Can you hear this? This is in the Course. Yeah. You really don't want to be healed totally, and that's what the problem obviously is. Prayer is the medium of miracles. It is a means of communication of the created with the Creator. Okay, the declaration, there is a God, and God says, you are my son. Through prayer, love is received, and through miracles, love is expressed. Isn't that nice? This is exactly the same thing as saying, I can't, God will if I'll let him. It's exactly what that is. Right. Yet, no, God, you can do it, I can't. I then release my associate identities with the necessity for me to act in my own mind. What happens? The miracle. I get out of the driver's seat, we used to teach this. Let go and let God. That's the whole teaching, and that's the miracle. Ready? Miracles are thoughts, of course. Now, thoughts can represent the lower or bodily level experience or the higher or spiritual level of experience. One makes the physical and the other creates the spiritual. You listen to me. In that sense, you are working the miracle of spiritual identification. Okay. Since miracle is what? Thought. Okay. A miracle really is the utilization of God creating, because that's what your whole mind is. All right. Now you can take that power and express it as a miracle in the physical reassociations with the physical, rather than a declaration that the physical is totally spiritual. And you can come to that wholeness. All right. One literally makes the physical. The power that you use in your perceptual mind to hold on to your self-identity is an extraordinary thing, guys. The lengths that you will go to retain sickness and pain and death. Do you see it? This is in the Course. It talks about it. You're going to use every single power at your disposal, and all power is at your disposal to retain this retention of your time. This has nothing to do with how you got into it or where you think you are. This is a statement of how your mind works here, isn't it?
Okay, so this underlines what I shared just a moment ago. It's like the temptation to use everything that you hear here, that you read in the Course in Miracles, that you listen, when you listen to Joel, when you do whatever you do in your spiritual journey, you're going to say, the natural tendency of the human mind is to hold on to the limitation. That's weird, isn't it? It's like you thought you would release everything immediately and jump into heaven. That's not what a human being does. Like, that's not what you do in your awakening experience of yourself. Otherwise, yeah, it would look different for you. Anyway, so that doesn't take away that we have to say emphasize that continuously. That doesn't make any sense either. So you can say we start over. Every day we start over again. To start over anew, to recognize, oh yeah, this today. Let's just take today to release my ideas about what I think is going on, what it is that I really want, and all of this, like thinking that I know what anything is for, I release that. So today's say miracle idea, which is in the lesson, is really like, I don't know what anything is for. I have to come back to that on a daily basis. I have no idea what's the best for me. I have no idea why I meet you. I have no idea what I will do today, what the actual occurrences of today. So this is the only thing we can do as a practice. Now it is even that you're going to use against yourself too. So here I stop. And we continue now, and it will come back. I'm sorry. It will come back in a very different way today too, in what I share from Master Teacher and what we listened to just maybe 2 episodes ago or 1 episode. I don't know exactly. But this is all brand new, you could say. So just for today, we do it like this. I'm sharing with you the text, and yeah, take time to take a good look at what is actually occurring. So the title I give is this: Dilemma of Escape. Dilemma of escape. So what is my dilemma of escape? Well, that's something that we're going to face later on. So, but I already gave it a title, so it's coming up. There's a dilemma involved in all of this. And you know this very well. And in fact, I was already sharing some about that. But let's just start right here. See here, we dive directly into the denial, you could say. How many of the associate consciousnesses having to do with the Course in Miracles are going to deny and attack it? All of it, all of them. That's what you have always done, is deny and attack this. The truth of who you are, you have attacked this. That's why you, say, came up with a, say, separate identity that you call a human being. That is the condition we just told you of perceptual mind. It is not open to choice. It is just a given. It's like that's your basic default where you come back to, where it's your starting point in your mind. Using, say, using your defense against the truth. Now, choice is then the main point here. All choice is the denial and attack on God. Remember, we already know we are dealing with an impossible situation, right? You seem to be living in a situation in which there's limitation, in which there's sickness, disease, and death. One can call this an impossible situation, right? And actually, you have a memory that you're, say, home in heaven, whole and perfectly created. Now, if that isn't a conflict, I don't know. You immediately took the mechanisms of A Course in Miracles and taught the mechanism rather than what A Course says. This is what I said before. It's like the tendency of the human mind to come to actually use the form to attack itself instead of going into the content, going into the experience of what is actually, say, presenting in every lesson. Now you're really occupied with the mechanisms, like, okay, these are all meaningless thoughts. It's all meaningless thoughts. Oh, that's all meaningless thoughts. Yeah, but that's not what this was about. It is not about the meaningless thoughts. It's like it goes deeper than that. So you do these exercises in order to get somewhere, to open up your consciousness for something else. So this is like an example of that. Automatically you say, haha, we trapped God. He gave us a choice in this. No, he didn't. He's dealing with the impossible idea that you can choose. You don't have to choose. So what is necessary for me to come to know that I am God? It would be like the most fundamental question. Like, what is necessary for me to come to know that I am God? Well, undergo this transformation that you are undergoing. Does this have to do only with me in this dream? Yes, it does. Many of you, and I'm speaking in this room now, are undergoing very dramatic transformational shifts in your consciousness-mind associations. You are beginning to form genius in your reassociations to declare your creative capacities. In case you didn't know. This is just the spreading of A Course in Miracles through the freedom of your own mind associations. We want to give you that. The basis of the Course is to give you full power of your own mind, to broaden in you your concepts of yourself to a final concept of your own whole self. That is what you are doing. Now we are faced with an impossible thing. We are saying that on the planet Earth, and this is really like introducing A Course in Miracles, now we're faced with an impossible thing. We are saying that on the planet Earth, a voice opened a channel from heaven and said words into a conscious perceptual mind that had no real understanding of it, but was at a purpose in its own karma drama where it could truthfully transcribe these whole words that came out. I guess they're going to put up a statue to Helen, and I think that's lovely. Like what the Master Teacher is saying here, it's like now the most amazing thing happened. Say suddenly in the years 1965, suddenly somebody's receiving words from out of time and is able to write them down as almost like a tape running in one's brain, you could say. She's writing it down in notes. She gets some help from Bill, and they all collecting the notes and all the script that is coming down on a daily basis. Well, here it is again. This is A Course in Miracles. Please take note. Starting to write it all down. Now, this is an amazing thing. Like literally information from out of time coming into this time frame, you could say. But it's your time frame anyway. So it's like it has been written down by someone who actually had no idea what it was about. She was in fact just like any human being in full denial of what she was writing down. But in that capacity she was very well able to do so because she could not discuss it or she could not reject it. She just had to take it down because she had no idea what it was about. And she did a really good job in doing that. She was literally chosen to do that, which is great. Does it matter that it was her? Well, let's take a look. So you can put up a statue is what Master Teacher says here. I guess they're going to put up a statue to Helen Schuckman, and I think that's lovely. But here it is. The necessity to identify the perceptual relationships that is described as she was, like she did scribe it all down, she did all write it down with A Course in Miracles, is exactly the opposite of what A Course in Miracles teaches. So what does this say? The necessity to identify the perceptual relationships is exactly the opposite of what A Course in Miracles teaches. It has nothing to do with personal identity. It is a statement on the very first page, the very first assertion that the earth, that self-constructed fear, that death, do not exist. So this is great. Like, so what happens here is this: it's like there's no need to identify the one who wrote it down, or to put up a statue for this person who did this incredible job of writing it all down. It's like it is not about the individual perceptual mind that wrote it down. That is not what this is about. You would immediately, in fact, say deny what A Course in Miracles teaches if you did so. So this is the same with you could say with names. Master Teacher called him, he didn't call himself the Master Teacher, but he said, they are calling me Master Teacher. So everyone called him Dear One. Did he have a name? No, he had no name. He had not a name. He was not famous by his name, because that would be a denial of what it was. Like the first question many people ask me is like, so what is the name of this Master Teacher? What is his name actually? And it's like, well, he didn't care about his name because that what he is, say, representing has nothing to do with an individual perception. And that's not acceptable for many. It's like they rather have a name than something vague like the master teacher of A Course in Miracles. Like anyone could be that. But it is not about anyone. It's not about the individual who does it. And I think that's lovely. It's like that confirms what we read in the manual for teachers too. It's like teaching and learning are the same thing. So like there's no situation in which I cannot learn from you, is what we heard. You know, it's like that is the demonstration of that. So is it important that I become famous in my teaching ability? Is it say important to have a name going all through the universe to point at me being a great teacher of A Course in Miracles? No, absolutely not. I could care less. Like that would be the denial of the whole thing. This is really interesting. I love that, to see like, oh, what a relief. Like none of that matters. Like there is a perfect plan. It is working me and it's working you at the same time. It's like there's only one plan. It works for each of us, since there is only one. And I have nothing to do with it. If I think I have something to do with it, I'm actually denying what it is that is occurring to me. So I can live in that fantasy, like I can create, use all that I've learned to deny it, sure. I can set up great, like an incredible school, and incredible this and incredible that. But I would be denying what is actually going on. And that, I love that. I love that. Because it sets you free of the establishment that is confirmed all over the place. Like all over the place. There are great teachers with great names, with wonderful blah, 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 blah. But it's in fact a denial of the teaching. It's not an individual. It's not about personality. It's not about this and not about anything. Unless you want to make this world real and deny your true identity. See how great this is. Like it's 180 degrees upside down. But see how it's like continuously there's the temptation to let yourself be taken on, like, well, you're really good at this. You're fantastic. You should do this, you should that. Like, we will promote you to do this, we will promote you to do that. I had people come to me in doing that. It's like, no, stop right there. Don't do that. There's no need for me to do that. Like, I would be denying what is actually going on. Why would I do that? To delay myself? No. This is for me about the speed up. The speed up of the recognition of the totality of my whole identity in God. Seeing that none of this ever happened, that it's over, that I'm home in heaven, and I meet you there. No questions. I love it. Okay, so the necessity to identify the perceptual relationships that is described, like that's a perceptual relationship with A Course in Miracles, is exactly the opposite of what A Course in Miracles teaches. It has nothing to do with a personal identity. It is a statement on the very first page. Like nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies my, say, complete salvation. That is the earth, the self-constructed fear that death does not exist. Fear does not exist. Only love is real. Fear does not exist. Only love is real. There's no sense in going any further with A Course in Miracles unless you're going to at least fundamentally accept the premise. Love is real. Fear is not real. Perceptual identity is what fear is. Time is what fear is. You might as well just accept it. Only love is real. Why? If you do that, if you accept that love is real and nothing else is real, then you can begin to teach the Course. You must accept the premise first that truth is not here on a planet called Earth. Since truth is everywhere, this must be nowhere, because this is not true. Since truth is everywhere, this must be nowhere. And this can be referred to as a place of fear, of limitation, disease, disaster, and death. This cannot be true. We said this. It's like there's no sense in going any further with the Course unless you are going to at least fundamentally accept the premise. Okay, only love is real. Yes, I'm caught in my own untruth, and I am faced with the dilemma of escape. I want to be happy, but I can't find happiness here. I feel pain and sickness and death no matter what I do. I lose the things I love, and actually, coming to it, this has prepared your perceptual mind for the admission of A Course in Miracles. Like finally, you can admit this. I'm caught in my own untruth. I'm faced with a dilemma here. I want to be happy, but I can't find it here. I feel pain, sickness and death, and I know that God only wants happiness for me. I lose the things I love, so I'm afraid to love. I am full of anxiety, you could say. So this is a perfect start to come to, the admission of A Course in Miracles. So finally, you can allow yourself to actually do the exercises. Finally, but only say with this admission, only love is real. So this cannot be it. Now I'm open to do the lessons of A Course in Miracles. Nothing I see means anything. Makes total sense. Yeah. Nothing I see means anything. Or today's lesson. I don't know what anything is for. I have no idea what anything is for. I have no idea what would make me happy. I just admitted that I'm looking for happiness, but I can't find it here. I'm looking for joy and uncontrolled ecstasy, so to speak, and I can't find it here. Everything seems to be temporal. My relationships shift and changes all the time. There's no constancy I can find in this limited association where I find myself. It's like, how long do I need to do this? Well, you can stop right now. Finally, when you come to this place that you see that it's not being found here, you actually are open to start doing A Course in Miracles. That is all. That's all. Only love is real, right? So why would you want to live a denial? This is in fact what you can ask yourself, That's where it starts. All right, thank you so much for joining me today in this miracles mind. Actually make a miracles mind, because it's all miraculous, and it is given us in this moment to recognize that you are the miracle. So thank you so much for being present here, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.